Hey, natural beauties. It is me, your girl T of BeUTee Bath and Body. And today we have a fantastic guest joining us for the month of October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We have none other than Alexia Nelson from Promise Place. And Promise Place will be our soap jar recipient for this year. So please help me welcome Alexia.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It is a pleasure to be able to speak to you and just learn all about the organization. So let me give a little information first. The month of October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and BeUTee Bath and Body hosts our this year it'll be our fourth annual buy one give one soap drive. So for every bar of our BU soap that is purchased, one bar will actually be donated to Promise Place. So I always love to have our soap drive recipients on, just so people can see all the, learn about all the fantastic things that that your organization is doing and where their donation is going to. So thanks again for joining me today.
Thank you for the invite. We really appreciate your business and all that you do.
Oh, thank you. Listen, this is all purpose here. So if you wouldn't mind, just I guess tell us a little bit about yourself and then the organization as well.
So my name is Alexia Nelson. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Promise Place. I deal mostly with volunteers, of course, coordinating them, and then also with donations, reaching out to donors, reaching out to the community to seeing who is interested in volunteering here and fulfilling our needs. Promise Place is a domestic violence organization. We have many services for anyone, not just in our supported counties, which is Fayette, Upson, Pike, and Spalding, but anyone around Georgia who may call our hotline, which is 24/7, 365 days a year. Um, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So, if you don't mind telling me a little bit more about the services that you all offer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So we have like I said, we have our hotline.
Mhm.
We also have our emergency shelter. We also have legal advocacy in all four counties,
Mhm.
Upson, Pike, and Spalding, and Fayette. We also have crisis counseling. We have our outreach program. We have transitional housing. We also have financial assistance, any emergency financial assistance that may be needed. And then, of course, there's always little services we provide within the shelter, within the admin office, and anything under financial or legal advocacy, such as TPO, or a stalker order, anything. And then we'll always find a way to provide any services depending on any client's unique need.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, do you actually request the temporary protection order for them, or how does that?
So our legal advocates, one, their main job is to provide information, any legal information. They don't necessarily advise or represent a client in court, but they will go to court to be there for the client. They will provide information on temporary protective orders and provide a caller or a client with information on how to obtain that. And then we also deal with stalker orders, which is also a serious crime related with domestic violence.
Mhm.
Say like an ex-girlfriend or ex-boyfriend is stalking, and that could lead to so many things if it's not nipped basically in the
Oh,
butt.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So, would you tell me a little bit more about the services provided by legal advocates?
Yes, ma'am. So we also have our legal advocates train our local police officers at their local police stations. So Fayette, Pike, Upson, and Spalding. We have legal advocates that support all four counties. So one of their requirements or one of their job duties is going to those police departments and training our local police officers, because we do have a lot of victims who feel like they are discriminated against when they do call the police, or the police aren't doing enough. So our legal advocates go to their facilities and they train them well, not one-on-one, they train them in groups, and they let them know what resources to provide, how to see a victim, or how to see or how to identify an aggressor versus a victim, because sometimes they aren't able to, or they do not know. And unfortunately, that leaves a lot of our survivors in a very deadly situation.
Mhm.
It can become very lethal. And they use the police, and sometimes perpetrators use the police against victims. They said, go ahead, call the police. They're not doing anything. They're not going to do anything for you. And I personally received a lot of hotline calls stating, I've called the police. I'm not calling them again. All they do is ignore me, which unfortunately is very unfortunate. But that is the first line of defense
Mhm.
for everyone in the country. you know. So we have to encourage them to call the police or encourage them to trust the police, which can be very difficult if, if they don't have training or they do not have knowledge about domestic violence. It's very sad, but that's what we're trying to change. We're trying to educate so they can save a life.
Sure. So what are some of the subtle nuances of being able to determine like who's the aggressor versus
Yes. So
sorts of stuff, during their day.
So all, of course, all victims, they're not all timid. I'm not saying that that's a downside, but victims aren't always timid. Some are outspoken. Some are some are outspoken, some might be shy, seem, you can see the intimidation. It's not any words. I mean, it's no words, no physical, there's no physical touching, but you can say like it's a look. It's a look, it's a feeling, it's an energy. You can tell when someone is suppressing someone some way.
Yeah.
And like I said, every situation is not the same, but there are some indicators where you can see like that's the survivor and that's the perpetrator. Who called 911. I have had clients who have went to jail trying to defend themselves, but because the perpetrator had a scratch on themselves, and then the victim had no scratches, they were completely healthy and clean, they went to jail for attacking the perpetrator, for protecting themselves. And I do understand it's very hard to like, oh, how can you not call her or them the victim, or how can you call them the victim if they don't have any scratches and that individual does? But it's always situational. So
yeah, no, that's really good to know. Have you I guess seen like a change in how with the training, like how they have been responding to those calls?
well, me personally, I have not, because we deal with so many clients that aren't just in our 4 counties.
Oh,
I
okay.
guess we service everyone, so it just depends on where they come from. Every county has a different their police station or police individuals that serve the community have different energies throughout Georgia. So it just, but they do have some similarities, not being able to identify. But we can't personally reach all police stations, but we can do what we can do for our 4 counties that we are mandated to support. So yeah.
No, that's really good to know. It is a complete, like intricate system, just even trying to make sure from the very, very beginning of, once they do call, to even the transitional housing for like a year and a half later. So it's the very intricate, you never realize all that goes into assisting people and being safe. So I thank you for adding that piece in. Very, very helpful and insightful.
Thank you. Well, I can also add a little bit more. I'm a proud sponsor of Promise Place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what we're here for.
Well, I could say a lot of our individuals, so we try to encourage temporary protective orders versus restraining orders. Temporary protective orders are so much stronger. Restraining orders, they'll probably escort an individual away from you. But with a temporary protective order, if you violate that, you're going to jail.
Okay.
You're going to jail. But we do try to encourage individuals who do call for legal advocacy, make sure you gather that evidence. Make sure you gather that evidence in order to support that TPO. The stronger it is, the better it is. A lot of individuals don't know a TPO. It can go from a couple months to a couple years to being permanent.
Oh, wow, really? Oh.
Yes, absolutely. So that's very important for individuals to know as well. Like, we're here. Like, let us know what you need, and we will assist you every step of the way. We'll educate you, the survivor, yourself, the police, your families, your relatives. We will educate as many people as we can in order to help someone avoid a situation like that. And then speaking on that, we also have community service. So we do use community service. They come in and ask for hours. And since I'm volunteer coordinator, that's my section. So since I actually just started a couple months ago as volunteer coordinator, so I'm kind of switching it up. So I'm requiring them to do training so they don't just come to Promise Place like, oh yeah, I cleaned, oh yeah, I sorted donations. But what does Promise Place do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people leave not knowing what we do, or that's one of the first questions I get. What do y'all do?
Sure, sure.
So, okay, let me educate you. So I provide them with 12-hour training.
Good, good, good.
And then I give them a survey at the end, asking them, like, basically a little quiz. It's not graded, but I'm asking them, what did you learn? What did you do at Promise Place? And a lot of individuals, they come back saying, oh my gosh, I did not know it was like that. And I also ask them, have you ever, what is your relationship with domestic violence? And, you know, every single person has someone they know or is themselves that has experienced domestic violence. It's not just this many people on the planet, it's
Right.
everyone, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh,
educate.
yes, absolutely. So with regards to, I want to go back to the TPO for a second.
Mhm.
You were saying about collecting evidence. So I guess my question is, if somebody is constantly being tracked or monitored, then how would you go about doing something like that?
So I understand things like that are more difficult to identify, but from my experience, I can say call logs. Like if they're blowing up your phone,
Oh, good
you
idea.
know, you take screenshots of your call logs, make sure it's time stamped, secure
Mhm.
that to another location, such as a laptop or a USB drive, text
Mhm.
messages, take screenshots of everything, social media, take screenshots of everything. You know, we can do so much on our phone. Take screenshots, take screenshots, take screenshots.
Mhm.
Email it to yourself, email it to a friend, email it somewhere where you can have access to it later if that individual tries to take it from you, or that individual tries to hide what they are doing. Security cameras, make sure you're downloading that vehicle. Recording when you can, record everything and anything that you can. And it's, as long as you're safe, as long
Yeah.
as you're doing it where you're not putting yourself in danger. You
Mhm.
know, we're not telling you to go out and gather evidence,
Sure.
gather what's happening to you in real time.
Mhm.
A lot of individuals, like, of course, my main motto is block and delete. So, but that doesn't necessarily save evidence. So
Mhm.
I would say, gather the evidence, block and delete. But of course, the more evidence you have, the stronger the TPO will be. But still gotta make sure you put you and your family first. So
Sure.
make sure, that's part of safety plan. Make sure you protect yourself so you can help your family first.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh,
But
that's
gather
great.
as much evidence, no matter how little it is, it will help you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. I didn't even think about screenshots and like sending it to a friend. So that, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
So approximately how many individuals are you able to service at one time, or like what's the volume that you see?
So our shelter, our capacity is 16,
Hmm.
but we serve thousands of individuals every year within our shelters. And that doesn't just include, the one victim, one survivor, includes their children, or even our counselor. She works with the parents, because sometimes we have individuals or survivors who aren't yet ready to leave. So that also affects their surrounding family. And so our counselor also works with them as well. Siblings, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, mothers, fathers. So everyone is a victim when there's a family member involved in domestic violence.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. So do you assist them with like creating the plan, like a plan to leave, offering how like it's a full, I guess a full scale beginning to end type of organization?
Yes. So that's called safety planning. So that can be anything from, when is the abuser present in the home? How
Mhm.
many children do you have? How many people are in your family that require your support, that are going to flee with you? Do you have any pets or animals? Because I did notice that you did an interview with Amisha House,
Ahimsa House.
a
Yeah.
Himsa House.
Yeah, I
Yes.
love them. I normally do a lot of volunteer work with them as well. Yeah. Mhm.
So we do refer individuals to them as well, because we do understand animals are very important to a family. So
Mhm.
that's also a part of safety planning, making sure everyone has a place to go.
Right.
So that could be making sure your computer is not being tracked, your phone is not being tracked. anything, because there's also key logging. That's someone seeing what you're typing. There's individuals that pay your Wi-Fi, who, if the abuser pays your Wi-Fi, they can see what websites you're on. So they can see if you have visited our Promise Place website, or if you are seeking help elsewhere. So it's making sure you're safe that way as well. Safety planning is anything and everything that involves domestic violence. Checking your car, making sure it's not being tracked, making sure you're not telling anyone where you're going, because you never know what calls they're listening to, or who is their friend.
Yeah.
They might tell them where you're going, and then they might use your kids against you, guilt the individual that's supposed to be helping you, saying, I need to see my kids. That's really what's important to me. And yes, everyone loves their children, but sometimes children are used as a tool to get to the survivor. So safety planning is everything you can imagine. Everything is important when you're fleeing home, because that's the most dangerous time in a domestic violence relationship.
So, okay, that's a great segue. So how would they actually contact you? Because I do notice, like, a lot of times when I visit these DV websites, they'll say, hey, like there'll be like a huge exit button on the top. Like if you think somebody may be tracking, exit here. With
Exactly.
technology being what it is, if they're unable to go through like standard, websites or anything like that, then how would they reach out to you in those instances?
So they can call our hotlines 24/7, 365 days a year. Our phone number is 770-460-1604. And anyone from anywhere can call anytime.
Oh, perfect. Okay. And I'll link all of that information. I'll have that below the video and all the phone number, website, all the good stuff. Whatever you get, toss it in there, because I
I
really,
got you.
really want everyone to, to have all the resources, possible to be able to, if they need, or if they know someone who may be in need of the information.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So I guess that might be a good a segue as well. Like if you know of someone who you feel like may be in a situation, what would we be able to do in those instances?
So you can always call just for advice. We don't necessarily just take crisis calls, or anything. People just call my daughter, my son. They're in this relationship, and we also provide emotional support, because
Okay.
we can't. There is not always a solution for everything. Or since it's not the survivor themselves calling, we can't do anything for the survivor through that individual, but we can educate that individual who's calling on their behalf. Like, yes, have them call us, but what can I do for you? How are you feeling? Do you need counseling? Do you need resources? What services are you in need of, so I can look it up and get it to you as soon as possible? So it just all depends on the situation, because sometimes they're in the house with them as well. And then sometimes it may be a minor, and we don't necessarily take in minors by themselves. We refer them to organization that does assist minors. But mostly I can say personally, because actually worked in the shelter 2 years before becoming volunteer coordinator. So I can say there's a lot of individuals who aren't the victim, who are still in need of assistance. And, we're there for everybody. So Promise Place got your back.
Oh, that is fantastic. Because actually, that's kind of how I have come to do all of this. When I was 3, I actually witnessed a domestic violence incident. So, you don't realize how seeing something like that can kind of impact you along the way throughout life if it's not necessarily addressed
Mhm.
that specific incident. You know what I mean? So, what type of services do you offer? You said, you take in children. Do you do specific counseling with them as well, or?
So our individuals that call directly for just straight counseling, they don't need shelter, or they don't need legal advocacy. They go straight to our crisis counselor. So she has support groups. She has individual groups, and she also deals with the outreach program, which are individuals who do not necessarily need shelter. So they don't necessarily come into the facility, but they still require like hygiene items, food items to feed their children or themselves. So we provide our volunteers. They actually make boxes every Thursday from the donations we get and from our pantry, and they make boxes for these individuals based on their specific needs. Um, we also have the clients in our shelter. They actually get referred to a whole nother facility for counseling. So they don't deal with our counselor directly. Our counselor is for individuals who call specifically for counseling.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's very good to know, because I guess there are so many different facets of assistance that can be provided. And so is there a cap on for the shelter, like how long the individuals can stay there? Or
yes, our shelter is 30 days.
okay.
It's 30 days. Of course, that all depends on an individual's unique situation. So we know it's just like education. You can't teach every child the same. Therefore, when you're in a shelter, you can't treat every family, every individual the exact same. Everyone has emotional needs that you have to cater to, that you have to change and evolve yourself in order to assist them. So you can't treat one client like the other because they're not the same. Yes, they may both experience domestic violence, but what I have learned from working at the shelter, everyone's story is completely different. No, like they all may relate to each other in a way that I may not relate because I have never experienced domestic violence personally, but they've experienced domestic violence. So that just kind of connects them. So, but that does not mean they're all the same. Every single story is different. I have heard so many stories over the years. So you can't treat anyone the same. Yeah.
No, I guess that's just like in life in general. You can't assume you know somebody's story and then kind of get this blanket response. That's on a personal note. That's why I enjoy having these conversations, because as a company, I eventually would like to start bringing in and create like a pipeline for financial freedom and create jobs and things like that for people in the shelters to come. Because from what I understand, one of the main control mechanisms is like financial control, and that's why a lot of people don't leave. So I think having this kind of allows me to somewhat assess a need and be able to plan ahead for how to potentially, at least offer some sort of, not necessarily fill it completely, but, offer some sort of outlet as well. That's good. That's really good to know. Okay.
And I'm happy you mentioned that, because there is like when I first joined the organization, I did not know how strong domestic violence was, just in period, just all over. And there's so many different ways. There's emotional abuse, like you said, financial abuse, intimidation, of course, physical abuse, psychological, mental. And there's so many ways someone tries to take over or have power over an individual. It's not always visible to the eye. It's not. And a lot of people don't understand that. So that's kind of what also hinders, that's what hinders the policies and everything that can prevent domestic violence.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't even consider that. That is a great point. So what is, I guess, the general, what's the demographic that you tend to assist, or like, what do you see coming through?
From what I personally experienced, we have assisted more women of color. I can say that as a fact, but that does not mean that but everyone does experience domestic violence. Every single person is able or has the ability to be in a domestic violence situation, unfortunately. But I can say we do have a lot of women of color that I have experienced personally. And I take that personally,
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I do. Include. Is there a certain age range that you tend to see coming through more often?
No, there's actually not a specific age range. There is not. Like I said, we don't necessarily do minors by themselves. They have to be with a parent. And of course, and I've assisted women in their 80s, and then of course women who are 18. It does not matter. They have all come, they have all been in our shelter, they have all gotten services from our counselor, legal advocacy. We assist everybody, all ages. There's no cap on the ages.
No, that's fantastic to know. Okay. Well, obviously we provide soap. That's what the whole is about. But what other things are you all at Promise Place in need of?
Wow. I can say our biggest, so when our clients come in, of course we get an abundance of we do get an abundance of hygiene products, but of course some things are not necessarily towards women of color. such as hair products. So I have been reaching out to our newer donors and asking them for asking them for more Afro hair products.
Okay.
I can say our soap isn't necessarily as individualized. It's more a bunch of we're very grateful, but it's not sensitive. We might have sensitive skin. We don't have sensitive skin soap. We have some soaps have so much perfume or unnatural perfume within them that aren't necessarily good for our clients. And they come with a lot more than just domestic violence abuse. They come with their health needs, their mental needs, and but health needs like skin wise. We have a lot of individuals that do specifically ask for sensitive skin lotion or that's very sensitive to their skin. But we're in need of of course sanitary items. We're in need of hair products, lotions. We're also in need of toothbrush, toothpastes, literally any hygiene product you could think of, we would love to have. But of course, cleaning supplies due to COVID. We are still very strong on making sure everything is sanitized, everything is clean, and especially being in a group environment or a community environment, we try to really push because our residents, they clean their own areas. So we really want to make sure they have what they need to make sure they feel safe with their families in the community area.
Sure.
But I can say our biggest need or our most lack donation are vehicles.
Oh wow! I didn't even
I know that's random.
No,
but we do.
but these are things that people need to hear about because you don't know how to potentially assist if you don't know what the need is or how to fill it. I didn't think about that. So go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So vehicles. So we have a lot of clients that come in, and they, of course, we're transporting them fleeing. I mean, not personally, like through Uber or Lyft, or through the police. We're getting them set to be transported from their home all the way to the shelter. So, that means they don't have their own vehicle or their vehicle is not working or the abuser has it low jacked where they can find the location or the abuser may have manipulated the vehicle or damaged the vehicle in some way where they are unable to drive it, which we don't want them to even attempt to bring that vehicle. We want them to like break that, leave that there, and we can help you further from the shelter. But our staff at the shelter they transport our clients in our shelter vehicle. So we are also in need of possibly financial assistance with transportation like Uber, Lyft, and gas cards. And we are in need of those, but it would be better if our clients did have their own vehicles, but that doesn't stop us from doing what we have to do. But that will assist them with getting their children at doctor's appointments, getting themselves to school, getting themselves to work. So it's just so many things that a vehicle brings to an individual's life that, staff can only do so much, via transportation, because it's a schedule and it's not on their own plan. It's on our time because we have to make sure everyone is getting where they need to be.
Yeah. That has got to be just a massive undertaking, trying to coordinate all of that. So I definitely can see how them, having their own vehicle would allow them a little more freedom too, right? Because you don't want to feel like you're continuing to be kind of suppressed in living. So yeah, that's interesting. I never even thought about that. Again, the reason why I love having these conversations. Learn so much. Okay, perfect. So is Promise Place have any events coming up, or do you have like a flagship programs or anything that you want?
Well, at this time, we do not have any events coming up. We did have our race, but it is going to be postponed. I do not have any updates on that at this time, but we are getting ready for our Thanksgiving and holiday. Well, just the holiday season in general, but Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's a really, really, really big time for us. We get an influx of donations, toys, cans, food, any type of food, especially for Thanksgiving. We're actually seeking some more donors for this year for our Thanksgiving meals. We already have one that can give out Thanksgiving baskets for about 10 clients, but we are seeking more like hot meals for our shelter clients. And then we also have more outreach clients. We want some baskets or turkeys or just any items. Like if we get an influx of donations and we can put together items ourselves, that'd be great. But we should get individuals who are specifically catering to those clients. So we're looking for that. Christmas, Christmas is a big time. We get lots of donors who donate toys. They adopt our beautiful families. It's just such a beautiful thing to see. So we're getting ready for that as well. We're trying to get more on the schedule because sometimes it gets crazy. It gets so crazy with how many people just donate and donate and donate, which we love. But we're such a small staff. We're such a small staff organization that we got to make sure we're staying on top of everything.
That's good to know as well, because I have considered that, because I normally just donate. We do our one annual donation, which always falls around the holidays because
Yeah.
it's in October. But I had wondered about maybe I should consider doing like quarterly donations. So everything won't kind of be heaped upon everyone, like you were saying, during the holiday season. Do you think that would be, I'm trying to get advice.
Oh no. Whenever you're able to donate, whatever is more convenient for you, we'll take it. We'll be grateful. It does not matter. Like
Okay.
we get crazy donations throughout the year. It's just a little bit more crazy during the holiday season.
So it's not like there's a greater need, say in March or April, or even like maybe August, because all of the holiday donations have kind of trickled out, or
Well, holiday donations they're so specific. It's canned food for Thanksgiving. That's our biggest influx. That's what we see most influx in during Thanksgiving, of course, is the canned food drives. We get a lot of those. And then for Christmas is toys. So everything else kind of slacks, I can say.
Okay.
So I would say if your soap donation would actually keep things normal.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I've been considering. Like, if we do more of a quarterly donation, then it'll be at least. Yeah, I'm just always thinking about
No
trying to
problem.
figure out how to do more assistance. I'm not going to hijack your interview.
No, you're good. You're good.
It's really beneficial at this point since I have you here. Anyway, Alexia, this has been a pleasure. If there, please let us know all the contact information, phone number, website, I guess social media handles again, and then.
I got you. So we are Promise Place. We're a domestic violence organization. We accept donations every Thursday between 9 a.m. and 3:45 p.m. And any other day we would prefer if individuals will call for an appointment. So they can call me. I'm the volunteer coordinator at Promise Place. You can call me at 770-461-3839, extension 165. And we are located at 350 North Jeff Davis Drive, Fayetteville, Georgia, 30214. You can bring your donations, just ring the doorbell, and we'll have someone answer the door between Monday and Friday, and we'll accept your donations, or we can just sit down and talk with you, or we can refer you to our hotline. And is it okay if I also mention the opportunities we have for volunteering?
Absolutely, yes, please.
Okay, great. So we do take volunteers for our crisis line. Because like I said, we are a small organization and we do get crisis calls all day, every day. So we are looking for volunteers to do our crisis line. We're also in need of maintenance volunteers, individuals who have maintenance skills or experience who are able to just do, I don't want to say little things around our facility because we do have some older buildings.
Yeah.
But we are looking for individuals who are experienced and can help just beautify and do things that staff themselves aren't able to do around the different facilities. We also have our TDV program, which is Teen Domestic Violence Prevention Program. And we also call it the Healthy Relationship Team Program. So that's our community advocate. She goes around to different schools in our supported counties, and she tries to, she provides programming that tries to prevent domestic violence from happening in the first place, educating teens on what is a healthy relationship, because a lot of our first relationships are in grade school.
Absolutely.
And a lot of domestic violence does start there. And then we grow to think it's okay when it's not. We know we need to know that we deserve to be loved better. And then there's also the Thursday donation day, donation sorting. So that's when everyone brings in their donations. We have volunteers that go through different items, household furniture, clothing, food, hygiene products. So we need volunteers for that as well. We also have our youth enrichment programs, which is individuals that come into the shelter and they assist staff with children when staff is doing support groups with the parents. So that's just providing, that's just doing little things like painting with the children, providing them with information, emotional support, anything they're willing to offer. We do those support groups for the children.
Mhm.
Um, and then we have our transitional housing, which is a 3 bedroom, no, my bad, a 3 apartment building within our admin office where we allow the clients to take furniture when they leave the facility. So we need secret shoppers for when the new transitional clients come in, and they're able to assist us with finding furniture to help them in whatever their size family is. And that transitional housing is up to like a year and a half. So they're able to stay there
Wow.
for a year and a half. Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, that's really great to know. Okay. So there's, I'm sure, and a really, really established plan for success. So
Mhm.
when we come out of the shelter, they can transition and be, self-sufficient, but also
Absolutely.
oh, that
Yeah, it's still secured, but
okay.
it's not as secured as being in the shelter is. It's
Mhm.
way more individuality, and so you have to be more self-sufficient there, of course. But we're just right downstairs. What do you need? We got you.
I love that. Okay, yeah, that's fantastic. Thank
Yes, and then it's just 2 other programs, 2 other volunteer opportunities, which is fundraising and special projects. So that's if we did have our race, we needed individuals to reach out to the community, help us get runners, help us get walkers. Everyone doesn't run,
Used to be a
but
runner.
anyone. But yeah, we need assistance with little things like that, or let me say big things like fundraisers and special projects. And then we also have our food and grocery pickup. So we get weekly donations from KFC and Papa John's, and we need volunteers to pick up those items and bring it to the admin office so it can be distributed. And then we also have grocery shopping, which is where our shelter, they have their own grocery shopping list, and
Mhm.
we get donations to Walmart, Kroger, and we have those volunteers go to the stores and fulfill that wish list and bring it back to the shelter and help staff put it away and separate items. So we have a lot of volunteer opportunities. All you have to do is call me.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that is
Mhm.
so many different ways to serve and just support the phenomenal efforts and everything that you're doing at Promise Place.
No
Now,
problem.
going back to trying to get everything in, going back to the volunteering and the community service. I do know that when I had reached out to volunteer before for another organization, I had to go in, I had to be interviewed. I also had to go through a background check as well.
Mhm.
Do you all require that, like similar procedure?
Yes, so I'm trying to make everything virtual where
Mhm.
I send, you'll get some materials later, but I'm trying to send out the training material, the required documents. But then I'm also providing individuals with information on getting their volunteer background check here in Fayette County. So Fayette County is free, the volunteer background check, and it provides so much information for me in order to evaluate you. So I do require that. I require a confidentiality agreement, our volunteer contract, and the COVID policy document. So all that's required. And then volunteers as well. I don't necessarily require them to have training in order to come in on their first day, but if they're volunteering for the shelter, you gotta have all your ducks in a row.
Of
We're gonna
course.
have everything signed, everything documented, all confidentiality. We look you up in our system, make sure you're not in our system, and
Mm.
then we allow you to go. But volunteers who are doing anything outside the shelter, I don't necessarily require training immediately because it is 12 hours of training.
Mhm, mhm.
So,
Okay, that's good
but
to
shelter is most definitely have to have everything
know.
done.
Okay, that makes sense then. All right, that's perfect. That's good to know. Yeah, because I know people are wondering like what will be required of them to volunteer or to do community service. So it seems like the line of demarcation is whether or not they'll be actually working in the shelter as opposed to just like
Hmm.
sorting items or doing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Hmm.
good to know. Good to know. So, Lexi, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down and talk to me and just let us know all the fantastic things that you all are doing over there. Again, I will link all of the information in wherever, wherever they like to point to in these things, just so everyone that could ever view this, if they ever want to reach out, when they want to reach out,
Right.
be a service that they can get in touch with you all. Again, thank you so much, Alexia. This has been amazing, super informative, and I just again thank you so much for all that you do and the information that you provided for us here today.
Thank you, Tiana. I really appreciate you for reaching out to us, and we really look forward to distributing your soaps and seeing how the clients love it.
Yeah. I would love feedback also. Yeah,
Oh
clearly.
yes, absolutely.
Clearly, I love feedback. I always love to improve upon what is going out there. And thank you so much. And don't forget, everyone, our buy one, get one soap drive is going on currently during the month of October, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Please, please, please continue to support our soap drive as well as Promise Plays. Thank you so much. And you have a good day. Have a beautiful day.